Live from New York, it's the show that celebrated Nick's birthday with a tiny cake.
Okay, that's fine.
It was the smallest cake I've ever seen. It was a cupcake.
It was larger than it was a small cake.
It's first things first. Okay, that wasn't confidence building.
No.
He signed that $40 million contract.
Yeah.
It was only for 1 year, too. It wasn't total.
No, it was, $40 million a year.
160 million.
Are the Giants regretting this?
Yeah, I mean, if they're smart, they were regretting it the moment they signed it, which is why they should have never signed it. And I know we'll get to it. To be very clear, I don't think anyone here is putting the entirety or even necessarily the majority of last night on Daniel Jones. But it was a nice little encapsulation of what a terrible spot they're in. And Joe Shane, the GM there, has done some good things, hired Brian Daboll, has made some smart draft picks. But this is not second guessing. This was first guessing. The reason the franchise tag exists was for situations just like this one. A quarterback in particular who'd been underwhelming, who in a contract year pops, and then you're like, oof, who is he going to be? Do we want to tie ourselves to him? They had it available. They were so dead set on alienating their best player in Saquon. They wanted to make sure they saved the franchise tag for him. And now they're tied to this guy. Daniel Jones next year is $47 million on the cap. Oh, we can cut him. Nope. It's actually $69 million to cut him. Now you can split it up over 2 years.
He's got 2 more years. This year and next year is guaranteed.
Correct. That's my point.
Exactly.
You're talking about cutting the guy?
No. My point is you can't. My point is you are tied to him
But
for next year.
you're tied to him just for next year.
That's what I'm saying.
After next year.
For next year. But then if they move on from him after next year, it's still $22 million of dead money. But there'd be none of it with the franchise tag. None of it. And by the way, you could have then paid Saquon. I know people don't want to pay running backs, but you pay him a little bit, and then he's not upset, and you don't have that off-season issue.
For the record, Saquon didn't play.
No.
So it doesn't seem like the most unwise thing in the world to tag
but you would. But the risk of signing a mediocre to bad quarterback to a good quarterback contract, it's a crippling mistake.
Right.
And in my opinion, it was so clear to everyone outside of the Giants that it was a mistake, that I felt like they were doing it at the time almost to try to instill confidence in the player. Like maybe he'll believe in himself more if we give this to him. But unfortunately, Brew, and I'll show you the numbers and give it to you, he has turned back into the player he was. He was a guy who early in his career was a ton of fumbles, a ton of interceptions. And then the year before Daboll got there, he cleaned it up a bit. He already has more picks this year than last year.
Yeah,
he has half the sacks this year as last year. He almost has as many fumbles. We're 4 games in. And so again, last night, there are a lot of, culprits to that disaster. But this isn't changing. And if you're the Giants, you know what you're doing? Watching Colorado. You're watching Washington. You're watching North Carolina. You're not going to be bad enough to get Caleb. You're watching college quarterbacks already. That's what you're doing.
Look, like you said, this is not a reaction to last night. I was thinking this on March 7th, 2023, which is when they signed him to the 4-year, $160 million deal. This was ridiculous. They should have, Nick, as you said, franchised Daniel Jones and pay. If you give Saquon Barkley 3 years, $40 million, which is a lot for a running back at this day and age, or even 36 to $40 million, that's still not what you're paying Daniel Jones for 1 year.
Correct.
So that's why, even if you felt like, okay, we overpaid a running back a little bit and he gets hurt a lot, he's hurt right now, it still would have been financially better off than what you're doing with Daniel Jones.
That's right.
And here's the thing. This is what I was thinking from the moment they signed it. Why? Like, what did Daniel Jones do to deserve a 4-year, $160 million contract? And I said it yesterday. And I thought Jones would play pretty well last night, so I wasn't thinking it was going to roll over. But it was the same thing with Zach Wilson. I was like, look, in New York, sometimes they overreact positively or negatively. And all Zach Wilson earned in that game on Sunday was another chance, another look. We'll give you some leeway. That's all Daniel Jones earned last year. All he did was make you say,
$160 million.
Maybe. I mean, but that's what he should have earned. Like,
Was a 1 year fully guaranteed
let's see what he
deal.
can do this year. And I get, look, his first 4 years, he had 3 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators. So I get that that's tough. And I thought his rookie year, he actually might have been his best year. Was probably
Just
his best
the fumbles,
year.
19 fumbles.
Yep. Right, but 24 touchdowns,
Yep.
12 picks. But again, all you earn is another chance. And last year, 15 touchdowns
Well, that's
in
the thing.
16 games. That's what made you go gaga. 200 yards a game passing. I get he ran for 700 yards. So apparently the Giants thought, he's Michael Vick. He's Lamar Jackson. I mean, what? This is complete malpractice to
And
give
it
this
was
guy
at the time.
deal that
And
they
that's
did.
and
It
we
was
were saying
lunacy.
at the time. Go ahead,
Don't you
Wiles.
think it's just the offensive line? Of all
No.
these excuses, there's no Saquon. Darren Waller's not doing anything. There's no true number 1 wide receiver. Their defense can't get to the opposing quarterback. But when you look at how many times he's been hit, sacked, or pressured, it's top 4
all of
everything.
that's
And
true.
I get some of them. A part of these are his fault.
Yes.
We got sacked 10 times
No, that
last
part's
night.
correct.
Week 1, they were chasing him all over the field.
That part is correct.
So I don't know if he was under if they spent more money on the offensive line, or if the offensive line was healthier.
a great receiver.
But I don't know who's playing. You want to put Caleb Williams in here and watch him get sacked
No,
5
listen,
times?
that's why I'm saying last night is not the final piece of evidence or anything. Last night he was under constant duress. But you are paying a guy to be able to overcome. Maybe not overcome yesterday, but again, it's 24-3. One of those throws, he had a totally clean pocket at the goal line, and it was like, as you mentioned, one of those
That
rare.
was arguably the game.
Yeah,
I mean, bad as much pressure as he was under yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm with you guys. I blame the offensive line and a few other things before I get to Daniel Jones. But when they're down 14-3 with a minute left in the third quarter at the goal line, if they score there, whether it's 14-10 or 14-11, it's a new game.
Yeah.
You have all
And
the momentum. And so he deserves a ton of blame for that.
And that's, by the way, not only, as Wilds mentioned, is one of those rare pick sixes that goes to the end zone.
All the way.
But but it also was after Geno had gotten hurt. So Seattle was in a vulnerable spot.
Right.
But to your point, Wilds, if you remove, we can show it to you, the second half against the Cardinals, this has been an institutional failure for the organization. So that is, I mean, that is as bad as it gets. They are outscored outside of that half. It's 114-15. What they've done in the 14 other quarters of football. 114-15 in the other 14 quarters of football. Or 114
and
to
look,
13.
Daboll cannot escape blame either.
Yeah, can I show? So I thought the post pick 6 that went all the way to the house.
Yes.
He goes over, he's like, see this? You threw it to the wrong team, and then he scored a touchdown all the way to the house and throws the tablet. I know a lot of people think this is a Daniel Jones story. I think that's a Daboll story. I think Daboll feels the pressure of being on national television twice in the first 4 games, being the coach of the year, having scored only 3 total points at home. I think he's feeling it a little bit.
I also think,
and I think just real quick, if his wide receiver did that, we would have it be front page news. If Daniel Jones did that to Daboll, it would be a huge story. Daboll did it, and we're like, it's no big deal. He cares a lot. One guy screwed up. Like, no, man, you both screwed up. It looks bad on both of your behalves.
Let me give Kevin Wilds a compliment here.
Oh, about the pick 6 to the house?
No, not about that. Because, listen, Wilds likes to say he's the leader of the show. And while that sometimes annoys me, it is kind of true. And it is one of your many responsibilities. Just wait a moment.
Okay.
One of your many responsibilities on the show is to stay calm. And there are times, it's not often, but there are times we've been on the air and the internet's gone down, our sound has gone down, things are screwing up. And if you were, every time, while that was going on, if you were like, then everyone watching would be like, they're in trouble. And we would be like, oh no. Right. And so you do a great job of staying calm. Both New York City coaches, Saleh and Daboll, I'd love to get in a poker game with either one of these guys. You know the moment they're like, oh, doesn't like that card, because he's like, oh, jeez. Like, both of them, they wear their emotions on their sleeve in a way you don't want the captain of your ship to.
Right.
And I think that can be problematic.
And Nick, let's just keep it real. They look completely unprepared.
Yes.
At the start of games.
Every game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they come out. Oh, wow, they're doing that.
Yeah.
They ran that play. Oh, this is how they're playing us defensively. Like, they look completely overmatched and like they don't know what in the world the opponent's going to do. And that's on the coach. I know he was great last year, but this year he's been horrible.
Okay. Meanwhile, Geno got another W, left the game, came back. Here's the NFC West odds.
Yeah.
San Francisco, not only are they in the driver's seat, they're also in the passenger seat. They got their feet up on the passenger. They're driving a Tesla.
They're chilling.
Then it's the Seahawks far away. Then it's the Rams. And look at the frisky Cardinals.
85-1. Not that frisky.
That's frisky.
Well,
they are playing well.
So a solid victory by Seattle.
Yeah. I think
but you've got a fire take here.
I think
they
win the division.
There it was.
I think, well, first of all,
I know you predicted that, but
so did Wilds, by the way.
Ridiculous.
He's all of a sudden become a Brock Purdy super fan as of late.
Well, I just, once I got more intel on Brock Purdy, turns out he's never lost.
So here's the thing.
This actually makes me feel better. It makes me look
I don't know why there's a question mark on that thing. It should be an exclamation point. Nick still thinks Seahawks will win the division. Guys, one team's on a 4-game winning streak. One team's on a 3-game winning streak. Can I make the case for Seattle, and then we'll get to the meat of it? 2 great corners. Played a bunch of rookies last year, all of whom now have improved and are playing well. Excellent receiving core. An offensive line that is good enough that they can be down at various points of yesterday's game 4 starters and keep their quarterback upright. A great head coach and a quarterback that, since he's been a Seahawk, we can show you the numbers. The sample size is now a season and a half. 24 starts. Brew, come on. Brew, those are really good numbers. You don't want to
see my graphics, baby.
Okay, well, I don't even know what they're going to be.
Yeah, it's going to crush that.
And then ultimately, if the question is, do I believe in, because the Niners have a more talented roster, but I believe in Geno more than Purdy. And can I just show you 3 quick plays from last night?
Yeah.
Because there were 3 plays last night that, to me, Purdy is never asked to do, and I don't think he can do. Right here, now this one ends up getting called back because of a hold downfield, but that is a great play that Geno made. This is all in the first quarter. In a game, Geno wasn't even great. Then when you show you the next one again, it's kind of underwhelming, but it's, to me, as impressive as anything Purdy did all last week.
Yeah, underwhelming.
And then,
I'm underwhelmed.
watch Purdy and see how many times he's having to step up in the pocket and find a tight window. And then the touchdown pass. The touchdown pass right here is as impressive as any Purdy has made his entire career.
Well.
And so, do I think that at some point the Niners are going to need Purdy to make plays? Tough plays, I do. I'm more confident that Geno can than Purdy can. Okay. Now, Geno might make a mistake that Purdy won't. We'll see. But at some point, those dropped interceptions from Purdy are going to be called interceptions. And so I think I trust Geno more than I trust Purdy.
Nick, which team has the better defense?
The Niners.
Which team has the better receivers?
The Niners. That one's kind of close. By the way, that one is close.
But the Niners.
The Niners.
Okay. Which team has the best running back?
The Niners. But this team has the better quarterback.
No, they don't. And I'll show you right here.
Yeah,
this is the objective thing.
Stuff. It's the
completion percentage.
Yes.
Yards per attempt. Yards per game. Touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah.
Passer rating. Brock Purdy is top 10 in all of that.
That's great.
Geno Smith is top 10 in none of that. And Brock Purdy doesn't make mistakes. He's thrown 211 passes. Hold on. 211 passes without an interception. When you are stacked everywhere, all you have to do is not make the interceptions. Let's not make it a discussion of what would he do here? What would he do there? What would he do if he had this? Let's discuss what's happening now. And what's happening is Brock Purdy is playing perfect football for the place he's at.
Wait a second. 2 weeks ago, you said yourself he had 5 interceptable balls in the first half of that standalone national TV game.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
That's the first time I've even heard that.
You said, Okay, 5 mistakes, you said. Whatever it was, you said in the first half he was fortunate. So that's making mistakes.
Every player, but every quarterback has throws. Mahomes could have had a third interception. He didn't.
100%
so
agree.
that's everybody.
But my point is the whole
balances out.
He never makes mistakes thing. I think
he hasn't had an interception in the last 8 games, and 3 of those games were against the teams that are top 10 in takeaways.
No, that part's,
Cowboys, Eagles, Seahawks.
True.
Did you think they needed him to make plays when they played Seattle last year in the playoffs? Yeah, I think so. When he threw for 300-plus yards and 3 touchdowns.
So here's the question I have. Do we think it is going to be smooth sailing for the Niners? Because we can show you.
You act like he can't handle controversy. His whole career has been being thrown in to controversy.
No, disagree. His career has been literally, you could argue, very little pressure because last guy left. Nobody's expecting anything from me. No one can replace me. Every other quarterback's hurt.
I don't think so.
And so
you didn't step into a team that's expected to draft at the top of the draft. You stepped onto a team that was supposed to try to win the championship.
Yes, a stacked team. I would rather play on a stacked team than a terrible team.
Well, Trey Lance didn't look too good on that stacked team.
So, Brew, we can argue that he's better than Trey Lance. I'm arguing he's not as good as Geno Smith.
Well, everything says he is. His stats say he is.
Not my eyes.
His career says he is.
Hold on. His career, let's
thus far,
his
career is way better than Geno Smith.
Okay, but again, I would argue Geno, Geno's career is 2 parts. 2 years with the Jets, the dysfunctional Jets, 6 years backing up fringe Hall of Famers or Hall of Famers, and then what we just showed you was the entirety of his time in Seattle, he's been excellent. And
who's been better?
This stat, Purdy has been better statistically. I'm not arguing that.
Who's won more playoff games?
Purdy has won 2 more playoff games. I'm not arguing that either.
What are you arguing then?
I'm arguing. Can we show the Purdy trailing thing?
He looks better?
I'm arguing that until we see Brock Purdy have to make plays, or face an adverse situation, I am allowed to say I watched Geno in a game he threw for 130 yards, have more impressive plays yesterday than Purdy had in his 20 for 21 game. I'm allowed to look at the game and see it.
First of all, that's 1 game for each person. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who do you think has more completions of 10 or more air yards?
Purdy, because everyone is running
that's
wide
air
open.
yards.
I know. They're running
who has
wide
more
open.
Of 20 or more?
Purdy. It's going to be 30 across
or
the
more.
board.
40
it's
or
always
more.
going to be Purdy. I'm not doubting.
But that's not a dink and dunk. A 20-yard pass is a 20-yard pass.
Running wide open. I didn't say dink and dunk.
Geno's got great receivers. You said it's close.
Wide open. Yes, he does. Yes.
He's got great running backs.
Yeah, bro. Hold on. Now you're arguing against yourself. You just told me that the other guy has the better everything.
Oh, he does. But I'm just saying, don't act like Geno's playing with scrubs.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing any of that. I am
Pete Carroll, the great Pete Carroll, can't get guys open.
That's my point.
He can't get guys open?
We agree. Thank you for agreeing with me.
No,
you have now gone
agreeing with you.
Way.
I'm not saying, I never said Seattle's guys weren't good. I said San Francisco's are better.
Yeah.
But now you're saying Purdy's guys are wide open.
Yeah.
Geno's are never open. That's not true.
What?
I got people in my ear telling I got to get you out of here.
Who?
You.
Why?
Because it's
you
just
got a good
lunacy.
fight. You had a good fight.
Okay, so,
we'll
all
be
right.
back.
So
We're gonna be back.
Let's just check and see.
LeBron says AD's
the
the face of the franchise. Yeah, it was a rough one for you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.